Hey everyone, welcome to another tutorial on the Linux system and how to use Linux systems. So in today's tutorial, we're going to talk all about package managers and how they actually work behind the scenes. We're also going to see how Linux actually accesses installed packages and see how the package manager makes it much easier to install packages. So let's get started. So before talking about actual package managers, I want to talk about how do applications actually work within Linux? How do they get executed? So first, there is a concept called as environment variables, right? So you may have heard of environment variables before. Basically, it means that these environment variables are linked to a particular location or a particular file somewhere in your system. The path to that particular file is inside your path, which is just an environment variable. That means you can access it absolutely anywhere just by typing the name of the file. For example, if I want to do ls, how does my terminal know where is this ls located? It's because ls is inside a environment variable, right? Same thing with something like vim or any other application that I've installed. Now, if you want to take a look at all of your environment variables, you can type the command print env and it will print out all of your environment variables. Right here, the path environment variable is what we're concerned about. So the path environment variable is basically just adding all of your executable files to your path. So you can execute them without having to mention the entire path. For example, let's say I make a directory called as exec. I go into exec and I have another file inside here, which is, let's say, executable. Now, for now, just assume that this executable file is an executable. It's an application, right? So if I'm right here in my home folder, in order to execute that, I can't just type executable and expect it to run, because my bash, or rather my ZSH, doesn't know where to actually find this. So instead, I'll have to mention the full path. So I will have to mention exec, the folder, and then the executable file. Then this would go ahead and execute. Now right here, it's not going to execute because this is just a text file, but this is what I'm basically trying to explain. Now the environment variable basically maps out all your executables within bin, sbin, and user/bin. So that's where all your applications actually exist. So if you wanted to install an application without any sort of a package manager, what you would have to do is you would have to copy all of those executable files inside this bin, or if you wanted to do it more locally, inside user/bin. Okay, so if I ls in user/bin, you can see that there are all these different commands. There is df, there is sec, there's python, there is a cat. I saw a cat somewhere over here. There's another C++ and all these other commands, right? Now let's go ahead and talk about how does a package manager actually work. So right here, I'm in an Excalibur. So I'm just going to try to visualize the whole process for you. So first thing we need to know is right here, this is our computer. Now for the sake of simplicity, let's just assume that we are running Ubuntu on this. So Ubuntu is a Debian based system. So we're just going to write Debian. Now Debian uses a package manager called as apt or apt. This is the package manager we're going to use for visualizing our entire example. Now the only difference between apt, rpm, which is the Red Hat package manager, pacman, is their names and how they actually function, how you run the commands. The core concept behind everything, their entire architecture of how they run, is completely same. So right here we have our Debian computer. Let's keep this aside for a while, because in order for this app to actually install any sort of package, it needs to download it from the internet, right? And all of those packages are going to be in some sort of a repository. So right here, we bring this in. Let's call it the apt repository, specific to Debian. Now this apt repository, it will have a ton of mirrors. What does a mirror mean? It means that this exact same repository gets copied and a copy of the same repository exists in different parts of the world. So let's say that we have 4 mirrors of the app repositories. Okay, now let's say I want to install a particular application. Let's say I want to install Discord, for example. So from my computer, I am going to use apt, the CLI utility, to say apt install Discord. So what my computer is going to do is it has a configuration files which lists out the location of all of these mirrors. So my computer is going to talk to one or all of these mirrors depending on my internet connection and with which mirror I can communicate first, right? So I'm going to go to, let's say, this mirror and say, hey, do you have Discord in you? Do you have a package called as Discord with you? This repository may say, Discord. No, I don't have Discord. So my computer will be like, okay, that's a little strange. So just to be sure, I'm going to go ahead and ask this other mirror if it has. This other mirror also tells me that it doesn't have Discord. So my apt CLI will tell me that, hey, this package called as Discord is not found. Now, Discord might exist in some app repositories. It might not. Usually I've seen that it doesn't exist, but this is just an example. Now, take another example of, let's say, NeoVim. So nvim is the name of the package. Again, I say apt install nvim. Then we go ahead and ask this repository, do you have NeoVim? And then it gives us a response that, hey, yes, I've got NeoVim. Then our apt application tells it, okay, please send me the download files for NeoVim and tell me how it is supposed to be installed. So all of that information I get from one of these apt repositories. All of that information comes to my computer, and apt takes care of how it has to be installed, and it puts it somewhere in my bin, sbin, or user bin based on whatever instructions it has. All right. So that is basically how a package manager works. Now, package manager also keeps its own cache. So within that cache, you have a list of all the apps that you have installed locally, and what can you delete, what can you not delete, the versions of those apps, and all of those things. So let's take a look at this in practice. So here I am back in my terminal. Before I show you in practice, let me show you the sources thing which I was talking about, the mirrors thing. So I'll come into my etc, I'll come into apt, and right here you can see that I have a file called sources.list. Let's see what's inside this, sources.list. And right here you see I have one deb. This is my mirror for all the repositories I have. I'm using a WSL instance of Kali Linux, which is why it's saying kali.org. And these are all the sub repositories which exist within the main Kali repository, which I am supposed to download my packages from. All right. So now let me come back to home. And again, I gave you the example of Discord. Let's go ahead and use the same thing. So I want to install Discord. I will do apt install Discord. So right here, you're going to get this error because right now I am a normal user. I am not the root user. In order to install anything using a package manager, you need to be a root user. Why? Now, if you take a look at where I am right now, I am in /home/Siddhant, right? So anything that is above home, in order to edit anything over there, I need sudo privileges, which is root privileges. So I can go ahead and say sudo apt install Discord and give it my password. And it's saying unable to locate Discord package because, again, I told you a package called as Discord doesn't exist within those repositories, right? So it's going to say unable to locate the package. Now let's go ahead and install nvim like I said before. So we go ahead again and do sudo apt install nvim. Okay, it says unable to locate because nvim is not the exact name of the package, right? So let's go ahead and say neovim. There, it found the package. Now it's asking me whether I want to install it or not. I say yes, and it'll go ahead and install nvim. It'll download all of the files that it requires, all the binary files, all the headers, whatever it requires, and then it'll put it in the exact places where it needs to. All right. So now I go ahead and type neovim, or rather nvim, because after installing the alias that it has is called nvim, it'll open up nvim for it. So that's pretty much how a package manager works. Now if I want to remove neovim, I can just do sudo apt remove neovim, and I will also give a command called as purge, because I want, let's say I have configured neovim properly, I have set it up properly, configured everything, got custom plugins, whatever. I want to get rid of all of that. So for that, I will use this purge option. Okay, I press enter, and then it will just ask me whether I want to delete it or not, and I say yes, and there, it's gone. Neovim is completely erased. There is also another command called as sudo apt update. Now what update is basically going to do is it's going to go ahead and talk to your package repository, the one which we talked about earlier, and it's going to fetch just a list of all the applications which are available inside it. Now, in a stable distribution such as Debian distribution, it has fixed packages. So it's not going to get updated every 2 days or every 3 weeks, right? But it might get updates, let's say every 1 month, every 2 months or something. So in that case, you do want to do an update just to get the latest list of all the packages and their latest versions which are available. Now in a distribution such as Arch Linux, which is a rolling distribution, packages get updated pretty much every single day. So you might have to run pacman update every single day just to keep your system up to date. All right. So now I've done apt update and gotten a list of all of the latest versions of all files. Now let's say I want to upgrade to all of their latest versions. So I'll just do sudo apt full upgrade, and I'll do enter, and this will just upgrade absolutely all my packages to their latest versions. I'm not going to do this right now because it's going to take a lot of time, so I will do that later off camera. Now the final thing which I want to touch upon is apt list. So you can do apt list, and this basically just gives you a list of all of the packages which are there inside the repository. These are not what is installed on my local system. This is everything available in the apt repository. If I want to see what all is installed in my local system, I can do apt list -- installed. Now this is a list of everything that I have installed on my system right now. So yeah, that's pretty much a good overview on what a package manager is and how does it work. I hope you got a good idea about how to use package managers as well. And yeah, just go ahead and play around with it, play around with RPM, play around with apt, play around with pacman as well. And yeah, if you have any troubles or difficulties with it, feel free to join the Know Your Hub Discord server and we'll be happy to help you out. All right then, see you folks next time.